Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to have you all here as we begin this journey that is Romeo and Juliet on Zoom. Tonight's rehearsal is going to be a run through of the show from top to bottom. We'll be folding in costume pieces and props if you have them. If not, that's okay. This is going to be a surprisingly tech-heavy show. We don't have a lot of those technical and video sound effects ready for tonight, but we'll make do. Our narrator was also not able to be here tonight. They will definitely be here for the next rehearsal. If this was a performance, I'd have our amazing backup actor fill in and read those lines, but I'll do it tonight. And that way you'll have an opportunity to hear and see the full show. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob.
Remember, the pacing is key. Turn on your microphone and camera to enter on stage and turn your camera and mic off when you exit. Bob is going to have a lot of elements to oversee during the show itself, and so will not be able to catch that. Have fun. That probably sounds a little weird with this particular play. Something to keep in mind. The feud is real. The love is real. But the deaths in this time and space are not. All right, everyone. Places for the top of the show. Bob, go ahead and cue up Robert Jimbo.
Hello, friends. My name is Jimbo Ivy, and on behalf of the City of Corvallis Parks and Recreation Department, I'd like to welcome you to the virtual cornucopia of Zoom entertainment that we loosely refer to as Quarantainment at the Majestic Theater. Whether you're here for MajesticPiece Theater, Friday Night Funny, or our Sunday Playwriting Showcase, I'd like to thank you for helping keep our performers, writers, and technicians engaged with your patronage of these free performances. Since the pandemic began, we've had dozens of these performances, and they represent hundreds of hours of work by hundreds of volunteers and staff in very challenging circumstances. A pandemic, a racial justice revolution, conflagrations, a seemingly endless string of tragedies, and yet they come back every week to bring their passions to our community. Why? Because they are majestic. And so are you. And we need your help to keep the show going during this bizarre year of 2020. In order for the Majestic to keep arts and culture alive in our community, we need you. We need you to keep coming to our free shows, but also we need you to buy tickets to our live-streamed paid performances. We have such shows planned for every month through the end of our season, but without your support, we won't be able to make them or continue to support our free content. With our Pick What You Pay model, you can pay as little as $10 to see them, or if you can, pay as much as you like. We need you to share with your friends and family how much you enjoy these shows and encourage them to catch the next performance and the one after that. And for those of you that are able, please consider donating to the Majestic now or during our holiday donation drive. Because of reduced revenues, we have cut our staffing and spending to the bone, but we still have a donation goal of $100,000 to hit this year to make it. So, if you can give, please give. We have struggled before at the Majestic, as all arts venues do. But now is the time, my friends. Now is when we need you the most. And we'll make it. Why? Because we, all of us together, are majestic.
And we are live. Prologue starts now. And audio, go. Narrator, go.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to... Sorry, we don't have this next part yet, but it is gonna be great. We'll transition to a moving battle montage with swords and duels. Then we'll green screen our Capulets and Montague clan into the foreground, so you're in the thick of battle. We can do that, right? Bob, Zoom can do that, right?
Oh.
Oh. Huh. Well, that was looks boring anyway. We should just cut this bit out altogether and move on to the nookie and the sword fights. No one cares about some old grudge in a place they've never been, right?
But what if they did care?
How's that again, Bob?
What if this feud was about something that mattered to them?
Something affecting everyone's daily life right now? Literally a matter of life and death. Yes, to mask or not to mask? That is our question. Scrap the villas, Bob. All right, and the narrator will say, and you already know your answer. You've picked your side in this new mutiny. You are either in House Capulet, and you wear a face mask to protect the populace, or you are in House Montague, and you do not, to fight for freedom. We can do some videos behind them of protest conflicts, like a newscast or something.
No, we don't have any videos of
Don't. I'm flowing here, Bob. Thank you. And the Capulets and the Montagues cannot agree to disagree. They've clashed in protest and counter-protest throughout the city of Verona. Hold on now. Could we still set it in Italy? Could we not? Romeo and Juliet takes place in Verona. It's practically a character.
It doesn't necessarily have to be that Verona.
You're right. There has to be another city in the world named Verona.
30 actually. It could be Verona, Ontario, New Jersey, Australia, or Zimbabwe. What? Google it.
Nice one, Bob. So our narrator tells the audience that this is your fight in your town, your fair Verona, or a Verona near you. All right, so next we transition to downtown Verona, where a group of citizens led by the Capulets are protesting the city's plans to ease restrictions after a recent spike in COVID-19 cases in the city. Can I get a picture of protesters, Bob?
No.
Okay. We'll figure something out there. Moving on. The Montagues, who own a chain of restaurants and a popular local bar, incensed by this, are gathering nearby to counter-protest. Things quickly go downhill from there. Actors, can we have some audio discontent there?
Everybody,
where
TV.
One
Goes
TV.
over your
One
nose.
TV.
Come on.
Yeah, great. That'll do. Thank you. The police and the prince are called in to break up the protest with a little tear gas and flashbangs. The Capulets leave, and the Montagues have ducked down a side street to avoid any complications.
Oh, where's Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am he was not at this fray.
Sorry, guys. I love the rough Benvolio, but it looks like we're going modern day now, so if you could just pitch that would be great. Thanks. Please continue.
Early walking did I see your son. Towards him I made, but he was ware of me, and I stole into the covert of the wood.
Away from light steals home my heavy son, and private in his chamber pins himself, shuts up his windows, locks fair daylight, and makes himself an artificial night. Dark and portentous must his humor prove, unless good counsel may the cause remove.
My noble uncle, do you know the cause?
I neither know it nor can learn of him.
Have you importuned him by any means?
Both by myself and many other friend. Could we but learn from whence his sorrows grow, we would as willing give cure as no.
See where he comes? So please step aside. I'll know his grievance or be much denied. Good morrow, cousin.
Is the day so young?
But new struck 9.
Ay me, sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went hence so fast?
It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which makes them short.
In love?
Out
Of love?
of her favor where I am in love.
Alas, that love, so gentle in this view, should be so tyrannous and rough in proof.
Alas, that love whose view is muffled still should without eyes see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh me! What fray is here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. Griefs of mine own lie heavy in my breast. This love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Farewell, my coz.
Soft. I will go along, and if you leave me, you do me wrong.
Tut! I have lost myself. I am not here. This is not Romeo. He is some other where.
Tell me in sadness, who is that you love?
What? Shall I groan and tell thee?
Groan? I know, but sadly tell me who.
In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman.
I aimed so near when I supposed you loved.
A right good markman, and she's fair, I love.
A right fair mark, fair cuz, is soonest hit.
Well, in that hit you miss. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead that live to tell it now.
Be ruled by me, and forget to think of her.
Oh, teach me how I should forget to think.
By giving liberty unto thine eyes, examine other beauties.
He that is struck and blind cannot forget the precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell, thou canst not teach me to forget.
I'll pay that doctrine or else die in debt.
I had a question about this one. The script says they were in the Capulet house. That doesn't make a lot of sense if they are socially distanced, right?
Oh, good point. I'll add in some narration explaining that they are outside on the front patio or something. Thank you. Go ahead and pick it up from your entrance, please.
Okay. Now, madam, what say you to my suit?
But saying o'er what I have said before, my child is yet a stranger in the world. Let 2 more summers wither in their pride, ere we may think her right to be a bride.
Younger than she, a happy mother's maid.
And too soon marred are those so early made. The earth has swallowed all my hopes but she. She is the hopeful lady of my earth. But woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part, and she agrees within her scope of choice lies my consent and fair according voice.
This part is going to be really great. We'll make a Facebook event for the Montague party and put it in the Facebook live stream chat. The Montagues own the hottest night spot in town. Montagues. They're reopening after lockdown and celebrating with a costume party. Wear a mask if you want, sheeple.
At the same ancient feast sups the fair Rosaline, whom thou so lovest. Go thither, and with unattainted eye, compare her face with some that I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crow.
One fairer than my love, the all-seeing sun ne'er saw her match since first the world begun.
Tut, let there be weighed your lady's love against some other maid, that I will show you shining at this feast, and she shall scant show well that now seems best.
I'll go along, no such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in splendor of mine own.
Act 1, Scene 3. We are now in the home of Jessica Capulet. The Capulets are a successful old Verona family with long-standing roots in the community. Jessica is the principal of Verona High School, and her sister Jennifer Capulet is a pediatric nurse. In an effort to protect her own family from COVID exposure, Jennifer is currently isolating herself on the first floor of the house, while Juliet and her mother live on the second floor. How can you isolate 2 families in the same house? Easy! Money. They've got separate entrances for each floor of the house, a 3-car garage. Yes. Can you throw in a fancy staircase for me there, Bob? Yeah. Yeah, it's good to be rich. Yeah. They need a great network plan so that they can text when they're too tired to yell up and down the stairs at each other. How many G's is that now? 5G? 8G? I don't know. They got all the G's. Okay, let's take it from the top of the scene.
Where's my daughter? Call her forth to me.
God forbid. Where's this girl? What, Juliet?
How now? Who calls?
Your mother.
Madam, I am here. What is your will?
Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age.
Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. Oh, she was too good for me. Mary, I remember...
Enough of this. I pray thee, hold thy peace.
Peace I have done. God mark thee to his grace. And I might live to see thee married once. I have my wish.
Mary, that Mary is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married?
It is an honor that I dream not of.
Oh, well, think of marriage now. The valiant Paris seeks you for his love.
A man, young lady, such a man.
Oh, God.
Although she dearly loves her aunt, Juliet isn't too sure about her aunt's taste in men. To prove her point, Jennifer pulls out her cell phone, finds his Tinder profile, and sends it to Juliet.
Such a man as all the world. Why, he is a man of wax. Nay, he is a flower, in faith, a very flower.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman? Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris's love?
I'll look to like if looking liking move, but no more in dart in my eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly.
Go, girl. Seek happy nights to happy days.
Okay, scene 4, a street in Verona. Our boys are getting ready to party and looking to stir up a little trouble.
Gentle Romeo, we must have you dance.
Not I, believe me. You have dancing shoes with nimble soles. I have a soul of lead, so stakes me to the ground that I cannot move.
You're a lover. Borrow Cupid's wings and soar with them above a common bound.
Under love's heavy burthen do I sink.
And to sink in it should you burthen love. Too great oppression for a tender thing.
Is love a tender thing? It is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like a thorn.
If love be rough with you, be rough with love. Prick love for pricking and you beat love down. Give me a case to put my visage in, a visor for a visor. What care I what curious eye doth quote deformities?
Come, knock and enter, and no sooner in, but every man betake him to his legs.
Nay, that's not so.
In delay we waste our light in vain like lamps by day. Take our good meaning for our judgment sits 5 times in ere once our 5 wits.
And we mean well in going to this mask, but 'tis no wit to go.
Why, may one ask?
I dreamt a dream tonight.
And so did I.
Well, what was yours?
That dreamers often lie.
In bed asleep while they do dream things true.
Oh, well then I see Queen Mab hath been with you. She is the fairy's midwife, and comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman. Drawn with a team of little atomies. In this state, she gallops night by night through lovers' brains, and then they dream of love.
Oh,
No.
peace, peace, Mercutio, thou talkst of nothing.
True. I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy, which is as thin as substance as the air, and more inconstant than the wind, who woos even now the frozen bosoms of the north, and, being angered, puffs away from thence, turning his face to the dew-dropping south.
This wind you talk of blows us from ourselves. Supper is done, and we shall come too late.
I fear too early, for my mind misgives some consequence, yes, hanging in the stars, shall bitterly begin his fearful date with this night's revels, and expire the term of a despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. But he hath the steerage of my course. Direct my sail on, lusty gentlemen.
We are at the Montagues bar. This is the Montagues annual party and their grand reopening after lockdown. Tonight's event needs to be a success for them to stay afloat, so it's all hands on deck. Workers were required to come tonight if they wanted to keep their jobs. Social distancing info is posted, but not enforced.
Where's Pot Pan? That he helps not to take away? He shift a trencher, he scrape a trencher.
When good manners shall lie all in one or two men's hands, and they unwashed too, 'tis a foul thing.
Away with the joined stools, remove the court cupboard, look to the plate. Good thou, now save me a piece of marchpane, and as thou loves me, let the porter let in Susan Grindstone and Nell, and Anthony and Pot Pan.
You are looked for and called for, asked for and sought for in the great chamber.
We cannot be here and there too. Be brisk a while, and the longer liver take all.
Guests enter, including Juliet, masked. She's found out about this party and snuck out to join it. She won't stay long, and she's wearing a mask. What could go wrong?
Oh, welcome, gentlemen. Ladies that have their toes unplagued with corns will have a bout with you. Oh, my mistresses, which of you all will now deny to dance, huh? She that makes dainty, she I'll swear hath corns. Am I come near ye now? Mm-hmm. You are welcome, gentlemen. Come, musician, play. More light, you knaves, and quench the fire. The room has grown too hot. Sirrah, this unlooked-for sport comes well.
As the hurried barman starts to leave, he's stopped by Romeo.
What lady's that?
I know not, sir.
Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright. It seems she hangs upon the cheek of night. Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle fine is this. My lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Juliet is not having this, and she moves away.
Good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much. Which manly devotion shows in this? For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have not saints lips and holy palmers too?
Aye, pilgrim, lips they must use in prayer.
Oh, then, dear saint, let's lips do what hands do.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Your father craves a word with you.
What is her mother?
Her mother? A good lady, and a wise, And virtuous.
Is she a Capulet? Oh, dear account. My life is my foe's debt.
Away, be gone. The sport is at its best.
Aye, so I fear, the more is my unrest.
Nay, gentlemen, prepare not be gone. We have trifling foolish banquet towards. Is it even so? Why then, I thank you all. I thank you, honest gentlemen. Good night. More torches here. Come on then, let's to bed. Oh, sirrah, by my fay, it waxes late. I'll to my rest.
Where is yon gentleman?
The son and heir of old Tiberio.
What's he that now is going out the door?
Marry, that I think be young Petruchio.
What's he that follows there that would not dance?
I know not.
Go ask his name. If he be married, my grave is like to be my wedding bed.
His name is Romeo and a Montague, the only son of your great enemy.
My only love sprung from my only hate, too early seen unknown and known too late. Prodigious birth of love it is to me, that I must love a loathed enemy.
Act 2. We're now on the street outside of the Capulets' house. Romeo was hiding outside of the bar and followed Juliet home. Ew.
Can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find thy center out.
Romeo! My cousin Romeo! Romeo!
He is wise, and on my life hath stolen him home to bed.
He ran this way, and leapt this orchard wall. Good. Call Mercutio.
Nay, I'll conjure too. Romeo, humans, madman, passion, lover.
And if he hear thee, thou wilt anger him.
This cannot anger him. My invocation is fair and honest. I conjure, but only to raise him up.
Come, he hath hid himself among these trees to be consorted with the humorous night. Blind is his love and best befits the dark.
If love be blind, love cannot hit the mark. Romeo, good night. This field bed is too cold for me to sleep. Come on. Shall we go?
Go then, for 'tis in vain to seek him here that means not to be found.
He jests at scars that never felt a wound. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Oh, it is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, and yet says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. Too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres until they return. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Ay me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, or any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title.
I
doth thy name, and for that name, which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never more will be Romeo.
What man art thou that thus be screened in night so stumblest upon my counsel?
By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, for it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of thy tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair saint, if any either thy dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot keep love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no let to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eyes than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here. Dost thou love me? I know they will say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet, if thou swearest, thou may prove as false. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behavior light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess. But that thou overheardest ere I was ware my true love passion. Therefore, pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I swear that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops.
Swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly sight changes in her cycled orb, lest that thy love prove a likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all. Or, if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
If my heart's dear love
should... Well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee tonight, I have no joy in this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be ere one say it lightens. Sweet, good night. This spot of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night. Good night. A sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank, and give it thee again. And yet, I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. Oh, I hear a noise within. Dear love, adieu.
Juliet?
Anon, good aunt. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little, I will come again.
Oh, blessed night, I am afeard. Being in night, all this is but a dream, too flattering sweet to be substantial.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
So thrive my soul.
1,000 times good night.
1,000 times the worse to want thy light.
Romeo?
My dear.
At what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee?
By the hour of 9.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. 'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton's bird that lets it hop a little from her hand, so loving jealous of his liberty.
I would I were thy bird.
Sweet, so would I. Yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow.
Sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly father's cell his help to crave, and my dear hap to tell.
Scene 3. This is where we meet Friar Lawrence. Friar Lawrence is a good guy, but basically team freedom. He's not into wearing masks and not cautioning his parishioners to do so. But don't judge him. He's not anti-science or technology. He's a patriot.
Good morrow, father.
What early tongue so sweet saluteth me? Young son, it argues a distemperate head so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused with some distemperature. Or if not so, here I beat it right. Our Romeo hath not been to bed tonight.
That last is true, the sweeter rest was mine.
God pardon sin, wast thou with Rosaline?
With Rosaline, my ghostly father, no. I forgot that name. That name's Woe.
Oh, that's my good son. But where hast thou been then?
I'll tell thee ere thou ask it me again.
Be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. Riddling confession finds but riddling shrift.
Then plainly know my heart's dear love is set on the fair rich daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine, and all combined, save what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed, we made exchange of vow. I'll tell thee as we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today.
Holy St. Francis, what a change is here! Is Rosaline, whom thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Lo, here upon thy cheek the stain doth sit, where an old tear is not yet washed off. If thou e'er wast thyself, these woes thine, thou and these woes were all for Rosaline. And thou art changed. Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men.
Thou chidest me oft for loving Rosaline.
For doting, not for loving, pupil mine.
And bates me bury love.
Not in a grave.
I pray thee, chide not. See whom I love now, doth grace for grace, love for love allow. The other did not so.
She knew well thy love did read by rote that could not spell. In one respect I'll thy assistant be, for this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
Oh, let us hence. I stand on sudden haste.
Wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast.
Downtown Verona, protests and counter-protests have been happening daily. They have been mostly peaceful during daylight hours. Team Mask is on one side of the courthouse square and Team Freedom is on the other side, unmasked. John Tybalt, prominent attorney and kin to the Capulets, plans to file a civil suit against the Montagues and their activities around their reopened bar.
Where the devil could this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight?
Ugh, not to his father's. I spoke with his man.
No. Why, that same pale, hard-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him so that he will sure run mad.
Tybalt, the kinsmen to Capulet, have sent a letter to his father's house.
A challenge on my life.
Romeo will answer it.
Is he a man to encounter Tybalt?
Why? What is Tybalt?
More than Prince of Cats, I tell you. He fights as you sing prick songs, keeps time, distance, proportion, the very butcher of a silk button. A duelist, a duelist.
Here comes Romeo, here comes Romeo.
Oh, Signor Romeo, bonjour. There's a French salutation for your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The slip, sir. The slip. Can you not conceive?
Pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy.
Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for flower?
Right.
Why then is my pump well flowered?
Why is this not better than groaning for love? Now art thou social, now art thou Romeo, now art thou what thou art by art as well as by nature.
Here's goodly gear.
Somehow, Juliet has managed to convince her aunt to relay her message to Romeo on her way into work at the hospital. Although Jennifer Capulet has no desire to get screamed at by a bunch of protesters during what little time off she has, it's a sunny day, and she loves her niece very much. She carefully makes her way over to the unmasked side of the square.
God ye good morrow, gentlemen.
God ye good den, fair gentlewoman.
Is it good den?
'Tis no less, I tell you, for the body hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
Out upon you! What a man are you! Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo?
I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of a worse.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you.
Romeo, will you come to your father's? We will to dinner thither.
I will follow you.
Mary, farewell. I pray you, sir, what saucy merchant was this that was so full of his roguery?
A gentleman, nurse, that loves to hear himself talk and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month.
Now, afore God, I am so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave. Pray you, sir, a word. But first, let me tell ye, if you should lead her into a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior, as they say, for the gentlewoman is young, and therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
I protest unto thee.
good heart, and in faith I will tell her as much. Lord, Lord, she will be a joyful woman.
Bid her devise some means to come to shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence's cell.
This afternoon, sir? Well, she shall be there.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times.
The clock struck 9 when I did send my aunt. In half an hour, she promised. Now is the sound upon the highmost hill of this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours. Had she affections and warm, youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball. My words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. Mwah. Oh, God, she comes. Hast thou met with him? Oh, Lord, why lookest thou sad? Though news be sad, yet tell them merrily. If good, thou shamest the music of sweet news by playing it to me with so sour a face.
I am weary. Give me some leave a while. Ugh. Fie, how my bones ache. What dance have I had?
I wouldest thou hadst my bones and I thy news. Nay, come, pray, speak.
Jesu, what haste! Can you not stay a while?
I can.
Did you not see that I am out of breath?
How art thou out of breath when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath? What says he of our marriage? What of that?
Lord, how my head aches. What a head I have. It beats as it would fall in 20 pieces. Ah, my back! Ah, my back! Beshrew your heart for sending me about to catch my death with jouncing up and down.
In faith, I am sorry that thou art not well. Sweet, sweet, sweet aunt, tell me, what says my love?
Your love says, like an honest gentleman, and courteous, and kind, and handsome, and I warrant a virtuous. Where's your mother?
Where's my mother? How oddly thou repliest. Your love says, like an honest gentleman, where is your mother?
Have you got leave to go to shrift today?
I have.
Then hie you hence to Friar Lawrence's cell. There stays a husband to make you a wife.
Hie to high fortune, honest aunt. Farewell.
Romeo has convinced the friar to use some kind of social distancing to make Juliet feel more comfortable at their upcoming wedding. The bride and groom will stand 6 feet apart. Romeo is wearing a mask, as is the friar. Oh, nice mask.
So smile the heavens on this holy act, that after hours with sorrow chide us not.
Amen, amen. But what sorrow can, it cannot countervail the exchange of joy that one short minute gives me in her sight. Do thou but close our hands with holy words, then love devouring death do what he dare. It is enough that I may call her mine.
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder. Therefore love moderately, long love doth so. Too swift arrives as tardy as too slow.
Good even to my ghostly confessor.
Romeo shall thank thee, daughter, for us both.
As much to him, else is his thanks too much.
Come with me, and we will make short work, for by your leaves you shall not stay alone till Holy Church incorporate 2 in 1.
Meanwhile, Benvolio and Mercutio are at the city courthouse. It's midday, and both tempers and temperatures are rising. Benvolio tries to convince Mercutio to leave the freedom protesters for cooler climes.
The day is hot, the Capulets abroad, and if we meet, we shall not scape a brawl.
Benvolio sees Tybalt exit the courthouse.
By my head, here come the Capulets.
By my heel, I care not.
Seeing Benvolio and Mercutio, Tybalt crosses the square to the protesters. He is in a mood. Perhaps things aren't going well with the lawsuit. He's spoiling for a fight with a Montague, any Montague.
Gentlemen, good den. A word with one of you?
Couple it with something. Make it a word and a blow.
Benvolio tries in vain to keep the peace.
Reason coldly of your grievances, or else depart. Here all eye gaze on us.
When who should come strolling into view but our new bridegroom? Ha! Looks like he's already ditched his mask. What a surprise. Tybalt breaks away from Mercutio to confront Romeo.
Thou art a villain.
Completely out of character for him, Romeo tries to be diplomatic and avoid a physical confrontation. Tybalt is having none of this and eggs him on.
Turn and draw.
Seeing his friend trying to make nice with a lawyer, a Capulet, a mask-wearing sheeple, enrages Mercutio. He jumps into the fray, weapon drawn.
Tybalt, you rat catcher, will you walk?
Tybalt draws a knife, and he and Mercutio come to blows. Romeo, yelling for Benvolio to help him, steps in between the two combatants to try and break up the fight. Under Romeo's arm, Tybalt stabs Mercutio. Reaching around behind Romeo, he grabs Mercutio by the neck with one hand while pulling his mask down with his knife hand. And then he licks Mercutio's face. Blah. The look on his face says it all. If the knife wound won't kill him, COVID will.
I'm hurt. The plague on both your houses. Oh, I'm sped. Is he gone and hath nothing?
Courage, man, the hurt cannot be much.
No, 'tis not so deep as a well, nor so wide as a church door, but 'tis enough. 'Twill serve. Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man. Why the devil came you between us? I was hurt under your arm.
I thought all for the best.
The plague on both your houses. They've made worms meat of me. I have it. And soundly too. Your houses.
Shocked at the death of his friend, questioning his recent marriage, his very manhood, Romeo stands in the courthouse square, his weapon hanging limply at his side, unmoving, until he sees Tybalt re-enter the square.
Alive in triumph and Mercutio slain? Away to heaven, respective lenity and fire-eyed fury be my conduct now. Now, Tybalt, take the villain back again. That late thou gavest me for Mercutio's soul is but a little way above our heads. Staying for thine to keep him company, either thou or I, or both, must go with him.
They fight. Tybalt falls.
Romeo, away, be gone. The citizens are up and Tybalt slain. Stand not amazed, the prince will doom thee death. If thou art taken, hence, be gone, away.
Oh, I am fortune's fool.
Why dost thou stay?
Where are the vile beginners of this fray?
Oh, noble prince, I can discover all the unlucky manage of this fatal brawl. There lies the man slain by young Romeo that slew thy kinsman, brave Mercutio.
Tybalt, my cousin, oh, my brother's child. Oh, Prince, oh, the blood is spilled of my dear kinsman. Print as thou art true, for blood of ours shed blood of Montague.
Benvolio, who began this bloody fray?
Tybalt, here slain, whom Romeo's hand did stay. Romeo, that spoke him fair, bid him bethink how nice the quarrel was, and urged with all your high displeasure. All this could not take truce with the unruly spleen of Tybalt death to peace, but that he tilt with piercing steel at bold Mercutio's breast. Romeo cries aloud, hold friends, friends part, and betwixt them rushes, underneath whose arm an envious thrust from Tybalt hit the life of stout Mercutio. And then Tybalt fled. By and by comes Romeo, who had newly entertained revenge. They go at it like lightning. For ere I could not draw to part them, when was stout and Tybalt slain. And he fell. And did Romeo turn and fly. This is the truth, or let Benvolio die.
He is a kinsman to the Montague. Affection makes him false. He speaks not true. I beg for justice, which thou, Prince, must give. Romeo slew Tybalt. Romeo must not live.
Romeo slew him. He slew Mercutio, who now... Oh.
Romeo slew him. He slew Mercutio. Who now the price of his dear blood doth owe?
Not Romeo, Prince. He was Mercutio's friend. His fault concludes but what have lost should end the life of Tybalt.
And for that offense immediately do we exile him hence. I have an interest in your hate's proceeding. My blood for your rude brows doth lie a-bleeding. But I'll mercy you with so strong a fine that you shall all repent the loss of mine. Let Romeo hence in haste, else, when he is found, that hour is his last.
Juliet is back at the house, upstairs, waiting to see Romeo.
Spread thy close curtain, love performing night, that runaway eyes may wink, and Romeo leap into these arms, untalkative and unseen. Come, gentle night, come, loving dark-browed night, give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night, and pay no worship to the garish sun. Oh, so tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival, to an impatient child that hath new robes, and yet may not wear them. Rachel, are you saying something? I can't hear.
Yeah, my mic was being a butt. Jennifer Capulet returns home from her shift at the hospital. She stands on the first floor of the house, sagging under the weight of the terrible news she must bring to her family.
Ay me, what news? Why dost thou wring thy hands?
He's dead. He's dead. We are undone. Alack the day, he's gone. He's killed. He's dead.
Can heaven be so envious?
Who would have thought it? Romeo.
Devil art thou to torment me thus? If he be slain, say I, or if not, no. brief sounds determine my weal or woe.
I saw the wound. I saw it with mine eyes.
Oh, break my heart.
Tybalt. Tybalt, the best friend I had, oh courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman, that ever I should live to see thee dead?
What storm is this that blows so contrary? Is Romeo slaughtered and is Tybalt dead? My dear loved cousin and my dearer lord?
Tybalt is gone, and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed him is banished.
Oh God. Did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood?
It did. Alas, the day it did.
Oh, serpent heart, hid with a flowering face. Did ever dragon keep so fair a cave? Oh, that deceit should dwell in so gorgeous a palace.
There's no trust. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo.
Blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. He was not born to shame. Upon his brow, shame is ashamed to sit. For 'tis a throne where honor may be crowned, sole monarch of the universal earth. Oh, what a beast was I to chide him.
Will you speak well of him that killed your cousin?
Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Poor my lord, what tongue shall soothe thy name when I, thy 3 hours wife, have mangled it? Tybalt is dead, and Romeo banished. Tybalt's death was woe enough if it had ended there. Romeo is banished. To speak that word is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished? There is no end, no limit, measure bound in that word's death. No words that woe sound. Where is my mother?
Weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corpse.
Wash they his wounds with tears. Mine shall be spent.
Hie to your chamber. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. I'll to him. He's hid at Lawrence's cell.
Oh, find him. Give this ring to my true knight, and bid him come to take his last farewell.
Father, what news? What is the prince's doom?
A gentler judgment vanished from his lips, not body's death, but body's banishment.
Banishment? Be merciful, say death, for exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment.
Hence from Verona thou art banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide.
There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence banished is banished from the world, and world's exile is death.
Oh, deadly sin! Oh, rude unthankfulness! Thy fault our law calls death, but the kind prince, taking thy part, hath brushed aside the law, and turned that dark word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not.
'Tis torture, and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse and every unworthy thing live here in heaven and may look on her. But Romeo may not. He is banished. And sayest thou that exile is not death?
O found madman, hear me speak a little.
It helps not. It prevails not. Talk no more.
Then I see madmen have no ears.
How should they, when that wise men have no eyes?
Let me dispute of thy estate.
Thou canst not speak of what thou dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, and Juliet thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me, and like me banished, then mightst thou speak, then mightst thou tear thy hair, and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave.
Arise, what knocks? Good Romeo, hide thyself.
Oh, Holy Friar. Oh, tell me, Holy Friar, where's Romeo?
There on the ground, with his own tears made drunk.
Even so lies she, blubbering and weeping. Stand up. Stand up. Stand and you be a man. For Juliet's sake. For her sake, rise and stand.
Spakest thou of Juliet? How is it with her? Doth not she think me an old murderer? Now that I've stained the childhood of our joy with blood removed but little from her own? Where is she? And how doth she? And what says my concealed lady of our cancelled love?
Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps, and now falls on her bed, and then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, and then falls down again.
As if that name shot from the deadly level of a gun did murder her, as that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me that I may sack the hateful mansion.
Thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. Go, get thee to thy love, as was decreed. Ascend her chamber hence, and comfort her. But look thou stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live until we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 200,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go, before, commend me to thy lady.
Hi, you, make haste, for it grows very late.
How well my comfort is revived by this.
Go hence, good night, and here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch is set, or by the break of day, disguised from hence. Sojourn in Mantua. I'll find out your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap that chances here. Give me your hand, 'tis late. Farewell.
But that a joy past calls out on me. It were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell.
Capulet and Paris are meeting again on the front porch of the Capulet home.
Things have fallen out, sir, so unluckily that we have had no time to move our daughter. Look you, she loved her kinsman Tybalt dearly, and so did I. Well, we were all born to die. 'Tis very late. She'll not come down tonight, I promise you, but for your company, I would have been abed an hour ago.
These times of woe afford no tune to woo. Madam, good night. Commend me to your daughter.
Sir Paris, I will make a desperate tender of my child's love. I think she will be ruled in all respects by me. Nay, more, I doubt it not. On Wednesday next. But soft, what day is this?
Monday, my lady.
Monday! Well, Wednesday is too soon. Thursday, let it be a Thursday. Tell her she will be married to this noble earl. Will you be ready? Do you like this haste? For hark you, Tybalt being slain so late, it may be thought we held him carelessly, being our kinsman if we revel much. Therefore, we'll have some half a dozen friends, and they're an end. But what say you to Thursday?
My lady, I would that Thursday were tomorrow.
Well, get you gone. A Thursday be it then. Farewell, my lord.
Meanwhile, back at the Capulets' house, Romeo and Juliet are keeping a social distance of about 6, 7 inches.
Hey.
Wilt thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale and not the lark that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on yon pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale.
It was the lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale. It must be gone and live or stay and die.
Yon light is not daylight. I know it I. Therefore, stay yet. Thou needest not be gone.
Let me be ta'en, let me be put to death. I am content, so thou wilt have it so. I have more care to stay than I have will to go. Come, death, and welcome. Juliet wills it so. How is it, my soul? Let's talk. It's not yet day.
It is. Hie hence, be gone away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasing sharps. Oh, now be gone. More light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes. Farewell, farewell, one kiss and I'll descend.
Oh, thinkest thou we shall ever meet again?
I doubt it not, and all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our time to come.
Oh God, I have an ill-divining soul. Methinks I see thee now, thou art below, as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Either my eyesight fails, or thou lookest pale.
And trust me, love, in my eye does so to you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu, adieu.
Oh, daughter, are you up?
Who is it that calls? It is my lady mother. Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procures her hither?
Why, how now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Oh, evermore weeping for your cousin's death. What, wilt thou wash him from his grave with tears?
Feeling so the loss I cannot choose, but ever weep the friend.
Oh, well, girl, thou weepest not so much for his death as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
What villain, madam?
The same villain, Romeo.
A villain, and he be many miles asunder. God pardon him. I do with all my heart, and yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That is because the traitor murderer lives.
I, madam, from the reach of these hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death.
Oh, we will have vengeance for it. Fear thou not. But now, I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
Joy comes with such a needy time.
Mary, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant, young, and noble gentleman, the County Paris at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Now by St. Peter's Church, and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste, that I must be wed ere that he should be husband comes to woo?
Jennifer enters the house. Standing at the foot of the stairs, she hears the following.
Is she not proud? Does she not count her blessed, unworthy as she is, that we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bridegroom?
Not proud you have, but thankful that you have.
Fettle your fine joints 'gainst Thursday next, to go with Paris to St. Peter's Church, or I will drag thee on a hurdle thither.
Fie, what are you, mad?
Good mother, I beseech you on my knees, hear me with patience, but to speak a word.
Young baggage, disobedient wench, I tell thee what, get thee to a church a Thursday, or never, ever look after me in the face. Speak not, reply not, do not answer me. My fingers itch.
God in heaven bless her. You are to blame to rate her so.
And why, my lady wisdom? Hold your tongue.
I speak no treason. May not one speak?
Peace, you mumbling fool. Utter your gravity or a gossip's bull, for here we need it not. God's bread, it makes me mad. Day, night, late, early. At home, abroad, alone, in company, waking or sleeping, still my care hath been to have her matched, and having now provided a gentleman of princely parentage to answer, I'll not wed, I cannot love. Ah, look to it, think on it. I do not use to jest. Thursday is near. Lay hand on heart, advise, and you be mine. I'll give you to my friend. And you be not, beg, hang, starve, die in the streets.
Is there no pity sitting in the clouds that sees into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet, my mother, cast me not away. Delay this marriage for a month, a week, if thou do not. Make the bridal bed in that dim monument where Tybalt lies.
Talk not to me, for I'll not speak a word. Do as thou wilt, for I have done with thee.
Oh, God. How shall this be prevented? Comfort me. Counsel me. What sayest thou? Hast thou not a word of joy?
Faith, here it is. Romeo is banished, and all the word to nothing, that he dare ne'er come back to challenge you, or if he do, it needs must be by stealth. Then, since the case so stands as now it doth, I think it best you married with the county.
Speakest thou this from thy heart?
And from my soul too, else beshrew them both.
Amen.
What?
Well, thou hast comforted me marvelous much. Go in, and tell my mother I am gone, to Lawrence's cell, to make confession and to be absolved.
Marry, I will, and this is wisely done.
Ancient damnation! Most wicked fiend! I'll to the friar to know his remedy. If all else fail, myself have the power to die.
Meanwhile,
Thursday, sir. The time is very short. You say you do not know the lady's mind. Well, uneven is the course. I like it not.
Immoderately she weeps for Tybalt's death, and therefore have a little talk of love. For Venus smiles not in the house of tears. Now, sir, her mother counts it dangerous that she do give her sorrow so much sway. And in her wisdom hastes our marriage to stop the inundation of tears, which, too much minded by herself alone, may be put from her by society. Now, do you know the reason of this haste?
Oh, look, sir, here comes the lady toward my cell.
Happily met. Not yet. Happily met, my lady and my wife.
That may be, sir, when I may be a wife.
Come you to make confession to this father?
Are you at your leisure, Holy Father, now, or shall I come to you at even Mass?
My leisure serves me, pensive daughter, now. My lord, we must entreat this time alone.
What should I disturb devotion? Juliet, on Thursday early we will arouse here. Till then, adieu, and keep this holy kiss.
Oh, shut the door, and when thou hast done so, Come weep with me. Past hope, past cure, past help.
Juliet, I already know thy grief. It strains me past the compass of my wits. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it, on Thursday next be married to this county.
Tell me not, friar, that thou heardest of this, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. Be not so long to speak. I long to die, if what thou speakest speak not of remedy.
Hold, daughter. I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate an execution as that is desperate which we would prevent.
Oh, bid me leap rather than marry Paris from off the battlements of yonder tower, or bid me go into a new made grave and hide me with a dead man in his shroud. Things that, to hear them told, have made me tremble, and I will do it without fear or doubt, to live an unstained wife to my sweet love.
Hold then. Go home, be merry, give consent to marry Paris. But Wednesday is tomorrow. Tomorrow night take thou this vial to bed, and this distilled liquor drink thou off, when presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor. For no pulse shall keep his native progress but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou liv'st. Each part, deprived of supple government, shall stiff and stark appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 42 hours, and then awake as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom comes in the morning to rouse thee from thy bed, thou art dead. Then, as the manner of our country is, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt wake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift, and hither shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua.
Give me, oh, tell me not of fear.
Hold, get you gone. Be strong and prosperous in this resolve. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua, with letters to thy lord.
Love, give me strength, and strength shall help afford. Farewell, dear father.
So many guests invited here are rich. Sirrah, go hire me 20 cunning cooks.
You shall have none ill, sir. For I'll try, because if they can lick their fingers.
How canst thou try them so?
Marry, sir, 'tis an ill cook that cannot lick his own fingers. Therefore, he that cannot lick his fingers goes not with me.
Go, be gone. We shall be much unfurnished for this time. What, is my daughter gone to Friar Lawrence?
Aye, forsooth. See where she comes from shrift with a merry look.
How now, my headstrong? Where have you been gadding?
Where I have learnt me to repent the sin of disobedient opposition to you in your behest, and am enjoined by holy Lawrence to fall prostrate here to beg your pardon. Pardon, I beseech you.
I am glad on it. This is well. Stand up. Stand up. Now, afore God, this reverend, holy friar, all our whole city is much bound to him.
Aunt, will you go with me into my closet to help me sort such needful ornaments as you think fit to furnish me tomorrow?
What ho! They are all forth. Well, I will walk myself to County Paris to prepare him up against tomorrow. My heart is wondrous light since this same wayward girl is so reclaimed.
Meanwhile, Juliet and her aunt are upstairs picking out clothes. No, they are upstairs, but Juliet is showing the clothes to her aunt standing in the hallway. Yeah, that'll work. Keep going.
Those attires are best, but, gentle nurse, aunt, I pray thee, leave me to myself tonight, for I have need of many orisons to move the heavens to smile upon my state, which, well thou knowest, is cross and full of sin.
Good night. Get thee to bed and rest, for thou hast need.
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint cold fear thrills through my veins. It even freezes up the heat of life. Come, vial. What if this mixture do not work at all? What if it be a poison which the friar hath subtly ministered to have me dead? At least in this marriage he should be dishonored, because he married me before to Romeo. I will not entertain so bad a thought. Oh, how if, when I am laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me. There's a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in a vault, to whom how foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled ere my Romeo comes? Oh, look. Methinks I see my cousin's ghost, seeking out Romeo that did split his body upon a rapier's point. No, stay, Tybalt, stay, Romeo, I come. This do I drink to thee.
Surprised that Juliet has not come down this morning, Jennifer calls for her at the foot of the stairs.
What lamb? Juliet! Fie, you slug-a-bed.
With the wedding hour fast approaching, Jennifer decides to take a risk and go upstairs into Juliet's bedroom. She pulls up her mask, taking care not to touch anything, and goes upstairs.
What? Not a word?
Using her
penny's worth now?
Using her foot, Jennifer knocks on the bedroom door, which swings open.
Mary and amen. How sound is she asleep? I must needs wake her.
She enters Juliet's bedroom.
What? Dressed and in your clothes and down again?
Jennifer leans over the bed to check on Juliet. Seeing that something is very wrong, she begins to check her pulse and look for signs of life. Finding none, she begins CPR.
Alas! Alas, help! Help!
For shame! Bring Juliet forth. Her lord is come.
Jennifer enters the room and sees her sister leaning over the prone body of her only child.
Ah, let me see her.
She pushes her sister out of the way.
Out! Alas! She's cold. Her blood is settled and her joints are stiff. Life in these lips have long been separated. Death lies on her like an untimely frost upon the sweetest flower of all the field.
Oh, lamentable day.
Jennifer pulls out her phone to call 911 and then the friar.
Death has taken her hence to make me wail, ties up my tongue, and will not let me speak.
Oh, woe. Oh, woeful, woeful, woeful day, most lamentable day, most woeful day that ever I did yet behold. Oh day, oh hateful day, never was seen so dark a day as this. Oh, woeful, woeful day. Oh, love, Oh, life. Not life, but love and death.
Jennifer holds out the phone so that the friar can see what is happening in the room.
Despised, distressed, hated, murdered, killed. Uncomfortable time, why camest thou now to murder our solemnity? Oh child, my soul, and not my child. Dead art thou, dead. Alack, my child is dead, and with my child my joys are buried.
Peace, ho, for shame. Confusion's cure lives not in these confusions. Heaven and yourself had part in this fair maid. Now heaven hath all, and all the better it is for the maid. Dry up your tears, and stick your rosemary on this fair course, and as the custom is, in all her best array, bear her to church.
All things that we ordained festival turn from their office to black funeral. Our instruments to melancholy bells, our wedding cheer to a sad burial feast, our solemn hymns to sullen dirges change. Our bridal flowers serve for a buried corpse, and all things change them to the contrary.
Everyone prepare to follow this fair corpse unto her grave. The heavens do lower upon you for some ill. Move them no more by crossing their high will.
Act 5, Scene 1. We are now in the city of Mantua on a public street.
If I may trust the flattering truth of sleep, my dreams presage some joyful news at hand. News from Verona? How now, Balthazar? Dost thou bring me letters from the friar? How doth my lady? Is my father well? How fares my Juliet? That I ask again, for nothing can be ill if she can be well.
Well, she's well, and nothing can be ill. But Balti sleeps in Capel's monument, and her marital part with angels lives. I saw her laid low in her kindred's vault, and presently took post to tell it to you. Oh, pardon me for bringing these ill news, since you did leave it for my office, sir.
Is it e'en so? Then I defy you, stars.
Oh, I do beseech you, sir, have patience. Your looks are pale and wild, and do import some misadventure.
Tush, thou art deceived. Hast now letters to me from the friar?
No, my good lord.
No matter, get thee gone. Well, Juliet, I will lie with thee tonight. Let's see for means. Oh, mischief, thou art swift to enter in the thoughts of desperate men. I do remember an apothecary noting his penury. To myself I said, and if a man did need a poison now, wholesale as present death in Mantua, here lays a caitiff wretch would sell it to him. Oh, this is the same thought did but forerun my need, and this same needy man must sell it to me. As I remember, this should be the house. Being holiday, the beggar's shop is shut. What ho, apothecary?
Who called us so loud?
Come hither, man. Let me have a dram of poison, such soon speeding gear as will disperse itself through all the veins, that the life-weary taker may fall dead, and that the trunk may be discharged of breath as violently as hasty powder fired doth hurry from the fatal cannon's womb.
Such mortal drugs I have, but Mantua's law is death to any he that utters them.
Art thou so bare and full of wretchedness, and fearest to die? Famine is in thy cheeks. Need and oppression starveth in thine eyes. The world is not thy friend, nor the world's law. The world affords no law to make thee rich. Then be not poor, but break it, and take this.
My poverty, but not my will, consents.
I pay thy poverty and not thy will.
Put this, and any liquid thing you will, and drink it off. And if you had the strength of 20 men, it would dispatch you straight.
There is thy gold. Worse poisons to men's souls, doing more murder in this loathsome world than these poor compounds thou mayst sell. I sell thee poison, thou hast sold me none. Farewell, buy food and get thyself in flesh. Come, cordial, and not poison. Go with me to Juliet's grave, for there I must use thee.
Lawrence isn't afraid of the deep state per se, but he is worried that technology today can be so easily compromised by shady people. Fearing that any text or email he might send to Romeo could be considered aiding a fugitive if the prince got a hold of it, he wrote a letter instead. Yeah, I know. He did not mail the letter. With all the problems at the post office right now, he wasn't sure if it would get there in time. So he gave it to a parishioner to hand deliver to Romeo and Mantua, thereby ensuring speedy delivery and complete untraceability. Scratch that. That's not even a word.
Welcome from Mantua. What says, yeah.
He doesn't want to say Romeo out loud. That's cute. Deluded, but cute.
And now they're telling him how they stopped at a hotel en route, decent rooms, continental breakfast, and a wedding party full of COVID. Mantua has a kick-ass testing and contact tracing program in place, unlike the United States. So there's no way that they could get into the city, let alone deliver a letter.
Unhappy fortune! Oh, by my brotherhood, the letter was not nice, but full of charge of dear import, and the neglecting of it may do much danger.
Hold it. He could have called Romeo right here. Nobody is going to buy this.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. He is a little paranoid.
No, he is a lot paranoid, and he would have like 3 burner phones on standby. He could have called.
No way. Does he seem like the kind of guy who would even know what a burner phone is?
Okay, focus, people. Let's keep going. Friar Lawrence, can you pick it up from where you left off?
Yeah. Now must I to the monument alone. Within these 3 hours shall fair Juliet awake. She will beshrew me much that Romeo hath had no notice of these accidents, but I will write again to Mantua, and keep her at my cell till Romeo shall come. Poor living corpse closed in a dead man's tomb.
Okay, let's move on to the cemetery.
Sweet flowers, with flowers thy bridal bed I strew, which with sweet water nightly I will do, or wanting that with tears distilled by moans, the obsequies that I for thee will keep nightly shall be to strew thy grave and weep. What cursed foot wanders this way tonight, to cross my obsequies and true love's rite? What? With a torch? Muffle me, night, a while.
Thou detestable maw, thou womb of death, gorged with the dearest morsel of the earth, thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open, and despite I'll cram thee with more food.
Romeo opens the tomb.
This is that banished haughty Montague that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief it is supposed to the fair creature died, and here is come to do some villainous shame. The dead bodies, I will apprehend him. Stop thy unhallowed toy, vile Montague.
Good, gentle youth, tempt not a desperate man. Fly hence and leave me. Think upon these gone, let them affright thee. I beseech thee, youth, stay not, be gone, live and hereafter say a madman's mercy did bid thee run away.
I do define thy conjuration and apprehend thee for a felon here.
Wilt thou provoke me? Then have at thee, boy.
Oh, I am slain. Oh, thou be merciful. Open the tomb. Lay me with the Juliet.
In faith, I will. Let me peruse this face. Mercutio's kinsman, noble county Paris? Oh, give me thy hand, one writ with me in sour misfortune's books. I'll bury thee in a triumphant grave. A grave? Oh, no. A lantern, slaughtered youth, for here lies Juliet, and her beauty makes this vault a feasting presence full of light.
Romeo drags Paris's dead body into the tomb. He sees Juliet.
Oh, my love, my wife! Death has sucked the honey of thy breath, hath no power yet upon thy beauty. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. Death's pale flag is not advanced there. Why art thou yet so fair? Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace, and lips. Oh, you, the doors of breath seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick, weary bark. Here's to my love. Oh, true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss, I die.
Alack! What blood is this which stains the stony entrance of this sepulchre? What mean this masterless and gory sword to lie discolored by this place of peace?
Friar Lawrence enters the open tomb.
Romeo, oh, pale. Who else? What? Paris too, and steeped in blood. Ah, what an unkind hour is guilty of this lamentable chance. The lady stirs.
Oh, comfortable friar, where is my lord? I do well remember where I should be, and I am here. Where is my Romeo?
I hear some noise, lady. Come away from this nest of death, contagion, and unnatural sleep. A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. Come away. Thy husband in thy bosom lies dead, and Paris too. Come, I'll dispose of thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming. Go, come, good Juliet, I dare stay no longer.
Go, get thee hence, or I will not away. What's here? A cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison, I see hath been his timeless end. Oh, drunk all and left no friendly drop to help me after? I will kiss thy lips. Haply some poison yet doth hang on them to make me die with a restorative. Thy lips are warm. Then I'll be brief. Oh, happy tiger, this is thy sheath. There rest, and let me die.
She stabs herself and falls onto Romeo's body.
pitiful sight here lies the Count slain, and Juliet bleeding, warm, and newly dead, who here has lain these 2 days buried. Go, run to the Capulets, raise up the Montagues. We see the ground whereon these woes do lie, but the true ground of all those piteous woes we cannot without circumstance descry.
What should it be that they so shriek abroad? The people in the street cry Romeo, some Juliet, and some Paris, and all run with open outcry toward our monument.
Here lies the Count Paris slain, and Romeo dead, and Juliet dead before, warm and newly killed.
Oh heavens! Look how our daughter bleeds. This dagger has mistaken for lo, his house is empty on the back of Montague, and it missheathed in my daughter's bosom.
Come, Montague, for thou art early up to see thy son and heir more illy down.
What further woe conspires against mine age?
Look, and thou shalt see.
Oh, thou untaught! Oh, what manners is in this, to press before thy father to a grave?
Seal up the mouth of outrage for a while, till we can hear these ambiguities, and know their spring, their head, their true descent. And then will I be general of your woes, and lead you even to death. Meantime, forbear, and let mischange be knave to patience. Bring forth the parties of suspicion.
I am the greatest, able to do least, yet most suspected, as the time and place doth make against me of this direful murder. Here I stand, both to impeach and purge, myself condemned and myself excused.
Then say at once what thou dost know in this.
I will be brief. Romeo, husband to that Juliet, she, Romeo's faithful wife. I married them. Stolen marriage day was Tybalt's doomsday.
Everything okay there, Bob?
Looks like he's having some internet connection problems. We are working on it.
Okay, gotta love Zoom theater. Everyone keep your eye on the group chat. If this happens during the show, Bob will cue our backup actor with a message in all caps. So let's have our backup friar. Come on in. Yeah.
Banished the new made bridegroom from the city, for whom, and not for Tybalt, Juliet pinned you to remove that siege of grief from her.
Seriously, Bob?
Working on it.
Okay, keep going. This is good practice. If it happens during the show, you cover as best you can.
Did you say she threatened to kill herself?
Look, a vial on the ground by his hand.
But he which bore my letter was stayed.
Bob, do we have our friar back? It sounded like him. Huh, maybe we just have audio for now. Oh well, keep going.
The true Paris and noble Romeo dead.
Sounds like you're a little ahead, Friar Lawrence, but I'll take it. Let's keep going. Thank you, backup friar.
She wakes, and I entreat her to come forth and bear this work of heaven with patience.
He's back!
He's
Yay!
back. Thank you. Let's hope this doesn't happen in the real
Welcome.
show, right?
Woo! About time.
Then did a noise scare me from the tomb, and she, too desperate, would not go with me, but as it seems, did violence on herself. All this I know, and to the marriage her aunt is privy. If aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my old life be sacrificed some hour before his time unto the rigor of severest law.
We still have no thee for a holy man. Where be these enemies? Capulets, Montagues? See what scourge is laid upon your head, that heavens finds means to kill your joys with love. And I, for winking at you discords too, have lost a brace of kingsmen, all are punished.
But I can give thee more. For I will raise her statue in pure gold, that whiles Verona by that name is known, there shall be no figure at such rate be set as and that of the true and faithful Juliet.
As rich shall Romeo's by his ladies lie, poor sacrifices of our enmity.
And scene.
Just like that?
We're cutting the Principe's last speech.
Yeah, I think we should.
The last lines are pretty famous.
Yeah, Rachel, this all just feels a little sudden.
What? I'm not bringing them back to life or anything. Oh, we could do a slow clap ending like in all those old 80s movies. One person starts clapping real slow, like the Prince, maybe. Yeah. And then Capulet and Montague join in. Yeah.
That is so awkward.
Okay, well, we'll figure out the details later. Bill lived through a plague, too. I think he'd understand.
Besides, who wants to end it talking about woe and punishment anyway?
Not me. Like you said, it's the love that's real.
Yeah.
Okay, screw that. Go for the upcoming events video and we are clear. Ready for the end credits scene.
Wait, end credits scene? What end credits scene? What end credits scene? Bob, what are you doing? What are you doing, Bob? Where are my host controls? What are you doing?
There we go. Okay, so much better. Just start at the top of the new pages that I sent you.
I don't know if this is a good idea, Bob.
Yeah, you're not supposed to rewrite Shakespeare. It's like bad luck or something.
Guys, it's 2020. All bets are off. You guys will do great. We are gonna start the end credit scene in 5, 4, 3.
Where art thou, Romeo?
Over here.
I never thought it would work.
Yeah, I've spent years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
Yeah, you did, you crazy kid. Now kiss it. And exit Romeo and Juliet. What can I say, guys? I am a sucker for a happy ending. Besides, it is not the weirdest thing to happen in 2020. Oh, I almost forgot. And they lived happily ever after. The end.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This gives me a chance to introduce our awesome cast. Playing our director, Rachel Calder. Playing Friar 2 and Tybalt, Rose Taylor. Our Romeo, Ellie Smith. Our essential worker is Ryan McWayne. And playing Lady Capulet is Karen Mulwend. Alex Asher is our Benvolio. And our Capulet is Carol Flanagan. Excuse me. Nurse Jennifer Capulet is Carol Flanagan. And Montagues, played by Pat Perdue. Mercutio, played by Sarah Wan. Juliet, played by Ariel Hicks. Our Prince in Paris, played by Zaida Knight. Our Friar Lawrence by Craig Currier. And Bob by the wonderful Maxine Agathar. Our real Bob, played by Amanda Vanderhyde. And I am Nancy Homan. I got a chance to direct this. Thank you to all of you for this. It would have come about without the actors, the audience, Amanda, Rachel, who said make weird Shakespeare. And I tried. So I hope you liked it, and I hope it made your day a little brighter. Thank you.
Suggestions Only Improv goes digital. Join host Dakota Cloud and all your favorite improvers for a night of unpredictable fun. Short form and long form improv games with live audience suggestions. You never know what's going to happen. Hamlet's a challenge for any actor, but when Jessica is cast as the titular character in a New York production, it sends her into an existential tailspin. It doesn't help that her acting coach is borderline abusive, or that every Starbucks barista with an MFA tells her that she's too young for the role. Or that she somehow managed to make Sir Patrick Stewart her nemesis. Not to mention the fact that she's a woman. How can Jessica figure out to be or not to be when she can't even figure out herself? Featuring an all-female cast performing multiple roles, Women Playing Hamlet is rip-roaring fun for Shakespeare fans and haters alike. A new take on an old classic. Celebrate the holidays and the Majestic Theater with a new modern adaptation of Charles Dickens's beloved novella, A Christmas Carol. But with a special twist. The ending is chosen by you. Support the work of the Majestic by voting with your dollars. Information on all these great shows and more can be found at majestic.org.